Hey, welcome to the latest episode of the Live It Full podcast. I am Richard. I have Caitlin, my bride, my best friend, my life partner, parenting extraordinaire, Live It Full master. Well, we're never masters of this craft. We're always going to be apprentices. But my lady beside me in the studio today, we're going to talk about a few things that have been on our heart the past couple of weeks. We've wanted to, I know I've told the audience that Caitlin will be back in the studio with me, and it seems like I've lied a few weeks in a row. But as we often talk about, we can plan all we want, but life happens. And we've had some Fridays we planned on recording and had sick kids or other things come up that did not allow us our schedules to mesh because we have the different businesses and we're not always able to schedule on the same day. Which is, I think, is a cool thing too, that we both have our own things going on, and as husband and wife, we have the same business, but they're separate and different, and our schedules don't always mesh though. So we're glad to have her in the studio today. But I want to say, if you love the podcast, if this is your first time listening to it, before you hear something you don't go like us, go give us a 5-star review on Apple, do those great things. Leave us a review. You can actually rate us on Spotify now. You can't leave a review from my understanding, but you can leave us a 5-star rating. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all those fun things at The Real Live It Full, at Live It Full on TikTok. But we wanted to, I'll let Caitlin jump into it a little bit, but we were going to talk about, we'll probably title this episode Instant Gratification.
Yes. So I was thinking a little bit about it. We went to eat at Olive Garden last night after our daughter's softball game. And it was no less than maybe 4 times that our son, so he ordered a kid's pizza off the menu, and he asked us it didn't take long to get our food, and he must have asked 4 times.
Wait at all.
When's my pizza going to be ready? Is my pizza done? Where's my food? Where's my food? And he's 3, and so it's funny, but
and he was hungry.
He was hungry. He was hangry. But we have to say, well, buddy, they have to cook it. Like, it wouldn't taste good if it was just already ready or, microwavable or whatever. So they have to fix it. And then it's going to be better once it arrives, even if it takes a little bit. So, just that instant gratification, idea. And I just really got to thinking about how there have been so many instances in our life, across many different aspects where our character was built and sort of God shows up for you in the waiting. And so whether that's waiting on a business to take off, whether that's waiting on, for some people, maybe adoption, if you're experiencing infertility or you can't start a family in your timing the way that you would like to right away. So that's business, it's family, it's maybe in the waiting for your marriage to get better or to meet the right person or whatever it is. And so anyway, just that instant gratification is sort of something that's shown up in our lives over and over and over. And I know that Richard has said before, it's easy for people to look at you when you are wherever it is that you are, when they meet you in your life. And they didn't know you in the waiting.
In the struggle.
They
see the success. They don't see the struggle that goes along with it. And I've talked a lot about that. But,
right.
And I think that's attributed to one of my favorite quotes, and I don't know who said it, Aaron Watson. Aaron, if you ever listen to this, he's a local guy, great country artist, but he talks about that. It took him 10 years in a song to be an overnight success.
Right.
And I have this overwhelming feeling, and I was talking to somebody else about Live It Full today on a Zoom call, talking about my book and trying to get it done. And I'm going to say our book, because I want you to be involved in that too, as a co-author. But we were talking about that, and I said, we've really been grinding it out with this for 3 years. And I said, at some point we're going to break through and have this brand that we love, that helps people, that is multifaceted through a podcast, through the blog, through a book, through merchandise, those kind of things. Yes. For those of you who may not be watching on YouTube or Instagram TV, Caitlin pointed to my Live It Full shirt that I'm wearing right now. But it's multifaceted. I was talking to an editor today who works on books, and that's what we're talking about. I see it going so many different directions, from the coaching aspect to the courses to helping people live it full.
Right.
And I think anytime that you can, if you're bettering someone's life and your business benefits from it, that's the way capitalism is supposed to work. But the instant gratification thing, the 10 years to be an overnight success has always been the joke in Hollywood and everywhere else. Like, you put in so much work that people don't see, and they go, oh, wow, must be nice. That was my podcast episode, Must Be Nice. When people say those things to you, you're like, well, you don't realize what it took me to get here, but thanks.
Right.
But part of it is we grew up, and I call it, and I've written about it, the microwave generation. We grew up with the ability to cook food in a microwave really quickly. We're probably Gen X before us was probably the first, TV dinner type deal. Like, you didn't have to cook. Oh my God. That was probably magical when people didn't have to cook all of a sudden. You could just go pop in a TV dinner.
Right.
Well, we have this microwave generation where, it takes 15 minutes to pop popcorn on the stove, or I can do it in 3 minutes in the microwave. Which am I going to choose? It's gotten worse because of Amazon. And I'm not saying that Amazon,
Internet,
right, but just say,
yeah,
people expect. So growing up in a small rural community, you didn't have this probably. Growing up in a larger town, even though you probably thought it was small, but you were in between two large cities in Texas on the I-35 corridor. So you had large state capital in San Antonio within an hour of you. We didn't really have malls. Growing up, we didn't have a Walmart here. And so, like, if we needed athletic shoes, we had to go to Abilene, which is the closest place, go to the athletic supply. I'm not even sure there was Academy back then. You know what I mean? And so, like, to get athletic shoes, you either did that, or, and I don't even figure they do it anymore. The school used to take everybody's money and buy shoes. Like, we'd all pay $60 and they'd get us the same shoes from the athletic supply because you couldn't get them easy. And so, like, even this Amazon, and I'm not bashing Amazon at all, because I think that Bezos may be a sociopath, smart, but he's a genius, and his idea of customer service is unparalleled. When you read about him, most people don't ever get to that level. But, like, I study billionaires. Like, I like to know how they tick. Him and Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, they're probably sociopaths, but something in their personality works for what they're doing. But when you think about it, I can, even in a rural town like this, I could get on Amazon right now and probably have something Monday.
Yeah.
And we're recording this on a Friday.
So,
but the problem to me is we recognize that as the in-between generation, because we're elder millennials. We're at the top of that. We grew up with technology, but we lived without it as children.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Our children expect next day delivery.
Yeah.
Our children expect the microwave to work every time.
Yep. But okay, so the Amazon creator was probably not an overnight success, but he's created something to help others.
Oh, completely. No, and he wasn't. When you go back, he was selling books out of his garage when he first started.
But you know what's funny?
People laughed at him.
Yeah. You know what's funny about the overnight success, though, and the instant gratification aspect of things is I don't want to talk to somebody if I'm going through a struggle that had it easy or instant. I want to talk to somebody who traveled down a path either that I had to travel down, or like somebody relatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I want the ease of something being overnight or easy for me to do. But if I'm trying to start something, it's almost like I just know it's going to take work. And so I don't necessarily want it to come from somebody, my advice to come from somebody that was an overnight success, if that even exists.
Well, I think there's some of that. And an employee and I were the other day talking about, of all people, Lady Gaga, because most people, she's extremely talented, whether you like her or not, or enjoy her music or not. She is a talented creator musician. Once I heard her sing what was she singing in that award show? It was so different from what she normally did, but she belted out like a traditional,
like a cappella or something.
Yeah, it may have been Whitney Houston, like just something that most people can't sing, and nailed it. Like, she's very talented. Some people bash her in the music world because she grew up as a trust fund kid,
wealthy,
and went to, I think she went to Juilliard, maybe Vassar. Somebody will correct us, don't worry. She had the opportunities, but I would still contend that yes, that gives you a level up, but you can't buy yourself. You can't buy success in that business. People have tried. I mean, look at famous actors and actresses whose kids have been in movies that aren't great. Like they're trying, but like it doesn't necessarily get you anywhere. Nicolas Cage is really Francis Ford Coppola's nephew, but he changed his name so nobody knew that because all of a sudden, did you put in the work?
Yeah.
And so I follow, they're friends of mine, Kale and Trevor, at Real Business Owners on Instagram. I would recommend anybody in business follow. They're one of the top rated podcasts. They've got a great Instagram. They put out just solid, real information. Two of the realest guys I know too. They will help anybody. But that's one thing they advocate is you can't skip the struggle.
Right. Right.
You can try.
It's like, I don't know, relating it to maybe recovery. I've never had a substance abuse or an addiction problem, but I've known people that have. And when you're talking to somebody, it was usually somebody that went through the same struggle that helped them out the most because they had been there. They had been in the trenches. It's not going to be the same advice coming from me who's never been there and done that, you know?
Well, it's like when you have these online business coaches, and I never want to fall into this realm, that have never owned a business.
Right.
And you run into those people. Oh, well, pay me $10,000 a year and I'll help you run your life. Well, you hadn't run anything, bro.
Right.
And you do find those people. And so I'm always leery. I mean, I've posted it on social media as a quote of mine saying, I don't ever want to come across as an expert in life. I just know how much I've screwed up and learned from my mistakes that I can share those with people.
Right.
Like what not to do, but you can't skip the struggle.
And then the appreciation that comes after the struggle. If you are trying for something and it happens right away, you can be happy about it. You can even appreciate it. But the appreciation, I would argue, is not going to be the same as if it was something that you had to fight for, something that you had to work really, really hard for. You're always going to appreciate a positive outcome after you've given it your all than if you were just lucky or whatever and it just happened overnight.
Well, think about this. So there are, and I don't know the statistics on it, my business partner Stephen and I have discussed it a lot. Why do second generation businesses fail? Because it was given to them. Because it was given to them. There's usually two things that happen with second and third generation businesses. They either fail, become stagnant, and by being stagnant in business, if you're not growing, you're shrinking, or the third generation takes it to a different level, like higher. But those are few. Many second generation businesses fail because it was handed to them. Like, and I struggle with that as a parent, and it's something that we try to talk about on this because we want to be real with y'all about our struggles as parents. And this gig didn't come with a manual. We're trying to ride it as we go and trying to ride it for other people to help. But like, I always say we're building our empire. It's something I say regularly to my people. I say it on here, like, I'm building my empire, but why am I doing it? What is my why? Well, I mean, you know what it is. I mean, my kids, my family, some of it's ego. Don't get me wrong. Like there is a component to that I will be 100% honest on. But it's
all of that. Yes, anybody would say their kids are their driving force, but I think a lot of it is tied into personality traits and the traits that developed in you as a kid. You were self-sufficient. You were self-sufficient when we met. I mean, you did a lot of things and you had been doing them on your own since you turned 18.
16 or 15.
Or 16, whatever it was. So you're independent, you're self-sufficient, you have that personality type. But then you can recognize now as an adult what you're able to do with a little bit of work that can afford you what you never thought you might be able to do as a kid. You know
but I've also
in
probably the past few years become cognizant and self-aware enough to know that my streak of extreme independence hurts relationships. Like, it's not a great trait all the time. Like I'm a good solopreneur. I'll do it myself. I'm not always great with the team.
Right.
And so that's what I've learned I have to get better at. But the point where I'm going with that is building the empire. It's a part of it scares me because I don't know that I want to turn around and turn it over to the kids. Not because I don't think that they're capable, because I think we are raising at least 3 right now. I don't know Mia real well. But raising kids who, she's 9 months, I'm joking. We're raising kids who are going to understand business.
Well, here's what I would say to that. I'm not going to ever hand something and divide it by 4 because they are not all 4 going to be able to do it.
No.
You either have to say like,
it sounds unfair, but it's reality.
It's reality. No, it's one totally who can reality.
Probably will.
Right.
And that's okay. Yeah. I know a family friend that the grandparents did that with a business, and it always kind of made me go, God, the grandmother, who was very smart, said he can run it. The rest of them can't.
Right.
Gave them cash, gave him the business.
Yeah.
They all burned through the cash. He still has the business.
Yep.
To me, that's realistic. It's not all things. The parable of the talents isn't fair when you think about it. I was listening to Jordan Peterson the other day, and it goes into this instant gratification deal, but it was talking about the Matthew principle in economics. And it's talking about those that have will have more, and those that don't have will lose everything. He was talking about it in an economic sense, and he goes, some people take that as a woe is me, like that's wrong, like the poor will be poorer. But when you look at it from an economic point of view, you do understand. They say the first million is the hardest. It gets easier after that because it's exponential. Money begets money.
Absolutely.
Blessings beget blessings.
You have more capital to do things with at that point.
But that's the reality. The people who understand that keep it going. The people that don't, it's that exponential growth curve going up and down. Is it fair? Who knows? I mean, that's you know what I mean? That's a faith question. But the reality is there's merit to it. And so I completely, if we have one kid.
I think no matter where you land on any of this, not even just business, but in anything that you want in your life, I think that there are levels, and I think that you should do the best with wherever you are with whatever God's given you.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. And then it goes back to that. If you're faithful with little, you'll be faithful with a lot. We did an entire podcast on that don't expect more when you can't handle little. Because I hear that from people, and I help people plan, and I talk to people, and I encourage them, and they say, if I only made a little bit more money. There's probably a limiting factor that's true on that, because there's a base amount you need for your needs, whether it's food, shelter, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like they're probably, and I don't know that you put a number on that, maybe it's $30,000 a year, but there's a base amount of needs for you to eat, sleep, drink, those kind of things.
Right.
Anything over that though, if you can't manage it, it doesn't matter if it's 5,000 or 50,000. I've had both. If you can't manage one, you can't manage the other. And I was bad at that. I was not good at managing little, because you think it's $1. Doesn't matter. Dollars over time add up.
It does.
I remember the time I told your mom, and you look back on it and you kind of grimace because
What are you about to say?
Well, father or mother-in-law and son-in-law relationships. I love your mom. And she listens. So, hey, Trish, love you. But I remember telling her, and it was when I first was starting, like I got my, securities license. And so I was in that mindset of, we were talking about that old ugly dog y'all had, Bailey.
Precious angel.
She's like 22 years old when she died.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I was like, your mom got her groomed a lot, or, monthly or bi-weekly or something. I don't remember. But I was talking to her, and I was just in that mindset. I was like, well, if you took that $30 for the last 20 years and you were making 8% on it, I'm like, you'd have $300,000 or something stupid, And she was like, yeah, but I wouldn't have had my dog groomed. And so you're right. But I was nitpicking because I was new in that and didn't understand some nuances with being self-aware. But the point is, like, those dollars do add up when you actually do the math compounded over time. It's a big deal. Carrying credit card balances, or you know what I mean? Like that's working against you, not even trying to get you to zero. That's working the opposite way. But yeah, if you're not faithful with little, you won't be faithful with a lot. But I think we treat time in such a different way. Henry Rollins has a quote, and he's like the Joe Rogan friend, he got kind of famous that way. He basically, there's no such thing as spare time. There's no such thing as like work time. All we got is time.
Right.
And we don't always treat time like the commodity it is. I could lose money and make it again. I can't get back time.
Right.
Instant gratification. That's where it's hard. I'm going to say a quote, and I'll let you talk some more about it that I really think about. I'm the quote guy. I think everybody knows that. Like I've written down before there was Facebook and Instagram, I was writing down quotes in notebooks because it's always helped me recenter myself when I really had to think about things. And maybe it's because I'm simple-minded that a quote will do that. But like I know that other people have gone through the same struggle if they've written about it. But I always had read like, and I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. Somebody will correct me and I'll go look it up. And I think it was, but he basically said, it might have been Maya Angelou. I know those two are kind of not the same, but one of them said it, that if you're thinking about doing something and you're worried about how long it'll take, do it anyways, because the time will pass regardless. Time passes
anyway. Yeah.
And so you're going to look back and be like, I wish I had started that 5 years ago, but I didn't want to because it was going to take 5 years.
Right.
And we have that mindset sometimes, and that's hard to overcome.
It is. I think that, patience, it's like, how do I learn to be patient while I'm waiting for something? What do you do in the waiting? Because I want it now. I want it instant.
Salt. I want it now.
I want instant gratification. The patience is a hard piece of the puzzle. And I don't know. I just go back to find joy. I mean, in every single instance, in every single day to day. My 3-year-old the other day, we were driving to Abilene, and he looks out the window and he said, "Mama, that cloud is upside down." And I said, "How is a cloud upside down?" He said, "Well, look at it. It's upside down. The gray is on the top and the white is on the bottom." And I guess in his sweet little head, most of the time, if he's seen a cloud that has some gray in it, it's been towards the bottom.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a sweet thing. What a sweet little innocent thing for a child to say. And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe God was feeling feisty today and he did something, painted it upside down. But then he was just, "Mom, there goes an airplane," and we're looking out the windows and we're just talking about the scenery around us. And I said, "Mac, it's almost like we live in a painting. Every day it changes. And I mean, just clouds, like clouds are neat." And we were looking at the clouds and thinking out, like, that's a joyful experience that you can just have in your day, no matter what else is going on. I could have had something traumatic happen that day. I could have had the worst day at work all year. I could have done anything, but that section of that day was joy.
Your sweet, innocent little boy.
He's precious. Now, he might be a UFC fighter someday.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure he's going to do MMA.
Yeah. I say that because he might have gone Leonidas in 300 and kicked a kid down the slide. Like, this is Sparta. And, one of his friends. And that's the thing that I think Caitlin doesn't understand about boys is I was like, well, was he mad at you? And he was like, for a minute, but we're friends. Yeah, boys are so different from girls. And having two girls first
is also rough and has also done things to Mac too. So it's
it's a boy thing. Like, it's normal, but like Meredith comes home freaking out going, "Mac did this." And I'm like, well, the same kid did poke him in the eye with a stick a couple weeks ago. And as parents, like, you just can't worry about that with boys. Like, I don't ever want to be the guy who say boys will be boys, because now there's like a negative connotation with that but like being rough with each other. Yeah. He's testing boundaries as a male that are different from the boundaries that the girls test. And we can argue all day about gender and everything else, but I can tell you right now,
he came that way.
Boys men and women are different. You can't argue that. Like, I mean, people do whatever, but there's genetically, it's a physiological thing for young men to test boundaries. It's why they do stupid things when they drink. It's why they do stupid things when they're teenagers, because number one, they have to see how far they can push their body and stay in control. There's things that they have to do because over the last, let's just say 6,000 years of human history, chances are when they turned 18, they were about to go fight in a war. Almost every one of them. And there's something to that is bred into us that society is trying to take away. And call it toxic masculinity, which we don't have to get into because I've had a couple. We're off. Yeah, we're getting off of instant gratification, but we'll wrap it up with this. I mean, I think that as parents, it's going to get increasingly harder to manage the expectations of our children with instant gratification because they grew up with Amazon. They grew up. I mean, think about this. Think about the instant gratification of Netflix. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our kids freak out when they have to watch commercials now. They're like, what is this?
Yeah. Or not knowing that you can't just watch that movie unless you go check it out at the movie store or wait until it comes to theaters or whatever it is. Like, you can just go get it off the TV now.
Instantly.
Instant. Yeah.
And we
do make our kids, though. I mean, they are very much the technology children that all children are nowadays. But, like, if our kids ask for something and it's more than, just something that you would get them on the daily.
Pocket change.
We make them wait. I mean, we don't just
work for it.
We don't just, yeah. I mean, there is still that waiting. And then guess what? When they get it, they are even more excited because they've had to wait a really long time for this, till Christmas or whatever.
And right. And I think that that's a really important thing, but I think it's going to get harder because they grew up that we see the difference. We're in that in between, not the tween like a tween, but like in between generation that we had to go to Blockbuster. We had to be kind and rewind. Our kids have no clue.
We had a rewinder, like a machine.
Yeah, y'all were bougie. We didn't have that. We had to just sit there for 10 minutes.
It was lightning fast and really loud.
Yeah, but I mean, and so it's going to get harder. And that's okay because here's the flip side of it. The good side of instant gratification or some of the instantness of the internet or being in a connected world is there is more information available now today than all of human history combined. I don't have to go to the library and look up the Dewey Decimal System to find a book. Mm-hmm. I don't have to have a CD even for Encarta. Anybody remember that before?
Yep.
You could find everything online. So I can go find instant information, which is important.
Yes, the access that we have now is unprecedented.
But it hasn't.
But so there's
hasn't
no
made
excuse.
Humanity better though.
I don't know.
Was it a lack of information, or people just going to be who they are?
I will tell you that when our children have questions, our sweet Angel, it has to do a biography, and she chose Dolly Parton, which is like, I can't even tell you how happy this makes me. Like, really, really happy.
I love Dolly.
But so she chose Dolly, and
out of any famous person she could choose.
Yeah, she wanted Dolly. Winning parent moment. So she says, Mom, can I have your phone? And I said, okay, what are you going to do on my phone? And she said, I'm going to look up Dolly Parton. I said, okay, here you go. So she looks up Dolly. She knows quotes by Dolly. She knows Dolly's middle name was Rebecca. She knows the year she was born. She knows her most famous song. Like, she knows all of this stuff. Yes.
Like everything.
Her eye color. She knows it's green. We have been to Dollywood, so she's been there, and we have.
That's
pictures.
Probably what spurred her interest.
Also,
although
that
kid knows
I listened
every
to
word
Dolly.
to Jolene,
she
which
loves
is kind
Jolene.
of a disturbing thing, but that's another story. We hosted a house concert. Well, this one wasn't at our house, but it was part of our music group, and we had an artist who performed it. And I remember Meredith just like belting it out for 2 or 3 days.
Please
afterwards.
Don't take my man.
Yeah.
As a 5-year-old,
oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, and so she has to have a quote. I'm just going to say this because I think it's funny. It'll be a good clip to pull out for YouTube or Instagram or Reels.
But I'm not letting her say this at school.
So our kids, as y'all know, do go to a small private Christian school, and she has to have a quote from Dolly. And of course, the first quote that pops into my head is, "It takes a lot of money to look this cheap." And Caitlin will not let me have her put that on her presentation.
No, I said, you could choose another Dolly quote. Dolly is amazing.
She is an amazing woman.
And she is super, super smart. And she has a lot of life lived. We heard stories from her mouth when we went to Dollywood. We went at Christmas time. And if you've ever been at Christmas time, you'll ride the steam engine. And she tells you a story as you're riding this train through the Smoky Mountains about Christmas. And they were super, super, super poor. A lot of people crammed into a little 1-room mountain home, whatever, in the shack, I think is how she refers to it. But
yeah, they were dirt floor poor.
Yeah. And that they could never afford Christmas presents. And so every present that they exchanged was something that, homemade from things that they had found, spare pieces of fabric. She has the coat of many colors, all of these things. And so she just said how precious it was and how she's never received gifts more valuable than those little homemade piece together things that she would make for her mom or that her siblings would give to her or whatever. So anyway, she's gone from one extreme to another in this life, and she is very, very intelligent and
she's
has a
graceful,
lot of
articulate. Stayed married to the same man who she loves, who stays out of the spotlight for most part.
Yeah.
I agree. I think she's awesome. Most people may not know that. They associate maybe Dolly with 9 to 5, like the movie.
And
you know what I mean?
Triple F's.
Well, that too. Also, Caitlin would not let her dress up as much as I wanted her to with a blonde wig. But that's another story.
No, she can wear cowgirl boots. She can don cowgirl boots, and that's about it.
Yep. But it's going to be a good, but it's interesting, though, that she's able to find all of that instantaneously. I mean, not even a delay when you have decent internet. Right. So that side of it's okay.
Yeah.
But does it create impatient, unruly, spoiled, entitled people in general? Called the Amazon effect.
Yes and no.
I mean, I think there's a part of that.
Yeah.
I just worry that long term it's going to be hard to temper expectations when things aren't instant, especially in careers.
We get frustrated at a drive-through when the drive-through takes longer than 5 minutes. It's like, what are they doing? Did they have to go to Africa to source some sort of spices to come? I mean, it's like, hey, they're getting you a whole meal gathered up to throw out the window at you. Like, calm down, calm down a little bit. If it doesn't take 5 minutes, it might take 10 or 15. They're probably really stressed out. They're probably busy. Like, tone it down a notch.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just hope that our children see that because they haven't seen the difference. When things don't go,
we'll have to teach them.
I agree. I mean, I 100% agree. It's just one of those that I hope that we do a good job doing it. It's just going to be, it's another challenge. I mean, is parenting the same as it was 20 or 30 years ago? We could always argue that, yes, it's the same, but things have changed.
It's the same principally,
different.
But it's different. Yeah. Your approach is probably going to be different. My mom didn't have to worry about me getting on Snapchat as a teen.
Yeah.
We're going to have to worry about things like that. But the underlying parenting struggles, I think, are going to be the same, just in different formats.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Solomon said it in Proverbs, there's nothing new under the sun. Vanity of the vanities. Like, why do we toil? Because it's all the same. Mm-hmm. And that was theoretically 6,000 years ago or so. So, we have the same issues, just different.
Yeah.
But if you like what you hear, as always, leave us a 5-star review on Apple. Go like us on TikTok. Someone teach me how to use it a little bit better. I am putting more content on there as I can. If you want Caitlin and I to do some funny reels for Instagram or Facebook, make sure and leave us a comment and tell us what you want us to do, because we're about to get a little wild on that. That's what we've decided. I decided. But if you like us, do all those things. Leave us a review. Always give us feedback. I had somebody the other day text me that I do know personally and said, man, I really enjoyed that episode. I got a lot out of it. We love hearing that because we always want to make sure that we are doing things that people want to hear and that we're impacting the lives that we can through oversharing of our stories and lives. But so definitely give us feedback, leave us comments, shoot us DMs. If you have our phone number, send us a text. We do like to hear it. Go to liveitfull.com and buy some merchandise as well. You won't regret it. If you're watching on any of the stuff, this is one of our shirts that we have. It's a wonderful cut and fit, super soft.
I love it. I think it's my personal favorite.
I do like it a lot. Mm-hmm. We do have a lot of the work hard, stay humble shirts available. They have actually been the best seller so far, but I think that you would like any of them that you get because we didn't go cheap. We weren't trying to make as much money as we could. We want nice, high quality shirts. So soft. And it's the cuts though. I mean, that's the deal, is they don't look like I should be wearing it with leggings,
Oversized.
Yeah, oversized. That's the word, because I'm not a small guy and the XL fits me perfect.
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot, like 225 on a good day. So anyways, that give you some reference size wise if you're watching. But just do those things. Go to liveitfull.com. Check out the blog. Check out all our other stuff that's out there. And we just want to help you continue to live it full.